What's up everybody, Gage and Pete back for a nano tank update. We recently did a 7-part series on nano tanks and a lot has happened to this system since then. A lot of changes have come forth with this nano tank, and we kind of wanted to talk to you about the changes that have been happening since that. We did a 7-part series on it?
7 parts, yeah. Last we left you guys, like Peter mentioned, we did a 7-part series on nano tanks. And we kind of went over, the ecosystem of it, how to do it, how to set it up, and what to look for in nano systems. Basically, this video today, like he said, it's just an update. What all have you done to your tank since the last episode we made?
The biggest thing that I've done is upgrade the filtration system. Now, when you're not dealing with dual carbon, and you got a lot of times your flow and your filtration system, when you're starting out, you want to conserve money, as we've said many times with this hobby. You want to save money, but filtration is something, like as we've said before, it's not something you could slack on if you want a healthy tank. And if you want to maintain a good-looking tank, you're going to have to take time to research and do and be active and hands-on in the process. And I've upgraded. The biggest thing I've done is upgraded the filtration system to the point of, just to give you an example, I don't use a protein skimmer anymore because the protein skimmer I was using was not effective. Like as we said in the very first series we didn't know they even made it from nano tanks, did we?
No, we didn't. And I know when you hear we're not using a protein skimmer, Peter's not using a protein skimmer, some of you were probably going,
what?
What? And I said the same exact thing when Peter goes, yeah, this new filter I bought, I was told I don't have to use a skimmer, and I was just like, wait, hold on, that scared me. But with nano tanks, what's nice here is that the setup that Peter does have, when we open this up, this is where he keeps his storage. If we wanted to, we could actually convert this pretty easily into a sump system. Maybe that's something we could do later down the road with an overflow or maybe even a drilled tank. But as for right now, he does not have a sump. So this is particularly good for those of you out there who, due to maybe where your tank is or weight restriction or whatever, can't have a sump. So he went out and he bought a different type of filtration system, which I'm going to have him cover here in a second. And to be honest, with these nano tanks, you don't have a lot of room to begin with, and most of the protein skimmers that they make for these are in-tank skimmers if you don't have a sump. They don't really have a lot of hang on the backs that I've personally seen. So getting that skimmer out of there actually opened up his tank quite a bit.
Yeah, and the problem I had with the skimmer that I was running, or the problem it wasn't effective, because most likely what it was doing 50% of the time before I took it off, first off, it wasn't skimming well, and second off, it wasn't skimming what it needed to skim. Half the time, it was just skimming up water, which was not...
Yeah, you weren't able to control whether it was, as they say, a wet or a dry skim. It was just what it is. And I will admit, for the brand that it was, the money that was spent on it, and the design, it was reliable, but to the point of how much room it occupied in the tank and how much it actually skimmed when you went and you tested for nitrates, phosphates, nutrient buildup and stuff. I just don't think it was getting the job done.
No, it wasn't. Because I think before I started this filtration system and various... Now, I'm doing other things besides using this filtration system to keep my various levels where they should be. But my nitrates were one of the biggest problems I was having. And before I set up this new system, my nitrates were pretty high. They were something like 80 at that?
Yeah, they were about 80 parts per million, which, as all of you know, that's really high. So let's go ahead. So you got the skimmer out. Let's talk about this new filtration system you got. What is this exactly?
This filter is bad. And when I mean bad, I don't mean bad. I mean like bad good. Okay, this filter is in 5 stages. And it uses Foslock. This basically does the same thing a Fosband would on a bigger tank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's now
It's very similar to a Fosband rig.
Yeah, it does. Because you said it's something about it as a five-stage filtration on it?
Yes. 5 stages of filtration.
Now I'll go ahead and I'll bring it up a little bit closer so you guys can see it here. But this is what he's running right now. And I believe, what's this one say? It's good for up to 30 gallons, 10 to 30 gallons. And again, one of the things that we stress is overfiltration. It's always a good idea to have something that filters more water than what you're needed, because that's really going to keep up on getting those nutrients out of the water. As Peter was describing, it looks like it's got a chamber in it for your phosband media. Another thing with these nano tanks, and like I said before, unless you have a sump or unless you have somewhere you can run the water from the tank through a sump or through a phosband, you don't really have a lot of room to be putting these reactors. So what's nice about these is this is a 5-stage filtration where it has an area for good bacteria, it has an area to put Phoslock, and it also has, what did it have, a polypad and a carbon filter in it as well?
Mm-hmm. You could put it in there, and basically, now, let me explain it like this. This whole thing started because the whole idea of doing this way started because I was thinking of upgrading to a bigger tank. And I went to my our trusted fish store, Bluefish Aquarium in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and this filtration system was recommended to me by one of our buddies in there, Steve. And Steve said, if you run this system, you're not going to need a protein skimmer, and you're not going to need a phosband reactor. And any time in this hobby, you can save money and not have to have a certain piece of equipment.
I agree. I agree. And not only are you saving money, you're saving time and you're saving space. So what's really nice is, I know it's kind of hard to tell at a distance out there, I'm going to be doing an update on this tank for my channel too, because there's a couple things going on here that I want to discuss. So, but we were able to take that skimmer out and totally just kind of aquascape the whole reef again. And personally, I think it looks a lot better. We were actually able to create more of an elongated reef effect rather than kind of piling rocks up to hide the appearance of the skimmer. So now the tank is more designed around that of a reef than it is to conceal something. So it just looks better.
It looks much nicer. One of the things I've been doing also to keep nitrates down, or to a more respectable level than say 80, because I think now they're at like what, 10?
Yeah, I believe last we checked they're about 10.
Is doing more frequent water changes. That's one of the best things you can do, and I started with, when I first started doing larger water changes, I went from 3 gallons 3 times a week to, and now I'm doing water changes at about 1.5 gallons 3 times a week. Mm-hmm. And that has helped knock the nitrates down. It
has helped to knock them down quite a bit. Little side note on the whole nitrates situation. As you know, you want to keep your nitrates as close to 0 as possible. Some people have luck with this, some people don't have luck with this. It's really kind of hit and miss with all the information that I found. But I know if you have a tank that is primarily soft corals, zoanthids, things of that nature, mushroom polyps, I know they prefer dirtier water, which basically just means that you're going to want nitrates in your system.
At a very low level.
Exactly, at a very low level. Don't be running like 80, 100 parts per million. That's too much. But, you know, I think 10, where he's at right now, I think that's a good level, because you got just enough in the water to where, you know, these corals that do like dirtier water can, you know, filter off of that. They don't primarily eat it. It's not one of the main food groups that they eat. The zooxanthellae mostly kind of, you know, harvests or provides the coral with the nutrients it needs from the zooplankton and the light and things of that nature. But they do feed on phosphates. There's people out there who have 0 nitrates, 0 phosphates, and they can't keep anything alive. And then there's people out there who have 0 phosphates and 0 nitrates, and their tank flourishes. So it depends. Work with it, play with it, see what happens. But if you are one of those people who need nitrates in your tank for your coral to thrive, make sure it's at a controllable low level.
Exactly.
So I guess that's pretty much it. We covered some new filtration that you got in there. It seems to be working pretty good. Upped your water changes. Everything's looking good. You started dosing more calcium and alkalinity. So yeah, it looks good, man.
Yeah, it really does. I'm really impressed with how, and because the tank has been healthier and everything's been going, I've noticed the fish have been more sociable and hanging out and just being on the reef and being cool fish.
And I think we can both agree that it's quieter.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand why you have to have a protein skimmer. If you're not, you can. I guess you can run it if you want. But one of the things that used to annoy me about that protein skimmer is
it was
the noise they used.
He had a really noisy protein skimmer. When we first got it, we actually had to take it apart and readjust it. There's a YouTube video we had to watch on how to actually connect hosing and tubing inside of this skimmer to fix the manufacturer error that was causing this thing to go. It was terrible. But so it's done, it's over with. He's got the new filtration and it seems to be working. So any of you other guys out there who have a nano tank who your skimmer's just giving you grief, look this up. Fluval C2, Fluval C2. 5-stage filtration system.
Another thing I wanted to mention is I do have a different lid. Now this is a small thing, but I basically have cut a piece of, what is that, plexiglass to create my own sort of lid. Basically my dad got a piece of plexiglass from Lowe's and took a look at my equipment on the tank and cut my own lid. Now the thing I like about that is the lid I was using before on the tank would cast a shadow. And you know, when you're trying to create a cool looking aquarium, I mean you want it to look really, you want it to be a showpiece. Sometimes when you cast a shadow on the tank, it's not.
Yeah, and your corals don't like it either. I'm glad you brought up the shadow effect. I'm actually going to do a video covering photosynthetic surface areas. So if you guys are interested in learning more about lighting and the shadow effect and the casting effect, go ahead and look us up on YouTube again. Pete, thanks for showing us your tank, man. A lot of awesome new additives, and it seemed to be working really good for you.
Yeah, it's flourishing.
So that's Peter with the Pete McHugh Show, and then look me up at Outdoor Instincts Live. If you guys have any questions or comments, let us know.
See you later, everybody.
Thanks.